Today I'm going to show you how to create a photo color wheel. The first thing you're going to need are two images. One you're going to use for the center of your color wheel and the other you're going to use for the on your color wheel. The one that is for the center will be in grayscale, so there won't be any color. And then the one that is for the spokes will be turned all different colors. It is helpful, but not necessary, for you to have both of these images with a transparent background so you don't have to do that work, but if not, it's not a big deal. So this one already has my transparent background, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to select this paint tube so that I can delete the background. I can use the quick selection tool, I can use the magic wand tool, I can use a quick mask, whatever you want to use in order to select your object. The more detail you have, the more challenging it may be. But once you have marching ants around your entire object, not including anything that's supposed to be negative space, okay, you're going to go up to Layer, New, Layer via Copy, and over here you'll see in your Layers palette that now you have two layers. If I double click this lock and unlock the background layer, I can now go and delete it. Now I have my image with a transparent background ready to go. So now that I have these two prepped, now I'm going to go up to File, New, and I'm going to take and make sure that my measurement is in inches and not pixels. And it's 16 inches by 16 inches with 300 resolution. I can call this color wheel and click OK. And now I have a new sheet of paper up here. I want to make sure that I have my rulers enabled. If I don't, okay, if you don't see all these numbers up here, you're going to go up here and make sure it says show rulers, okay? Right now it's not. Now they're there. I want to drop some guidelines for myself so that it will help to position my images. So if I hold down the Alt key and go up to the number 8, if I click and drag down right on that large line next to the number 8 and let go of my mouse and then let go of Alt, I will drop a guideline right there. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Hold Alt, click, and drag across and let go. And now I have two guidelines that's going to help me position my first object and then all my other objects after that. So now, if I move this over, okay, drag it out of the top, use my Move tool, I can now select this and bring it onto my image. I can close this because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to move it to the center. You'll feel it snap in or see it snap in once it gets toward the center of your image because you have those guidelines helping you. If you want to make it bigger, you hit Control T and hold Shift so that you don't distort your image. Once you have it, you can go and try and position it again. It's going to look pixelated until you click the check mark at the top. If you can't see this check mark at the top, you probably don't have your workspace large enough for you to see it. All right, now I want to desaturate this so that I don't see any of the colors. I'm going to go up to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and I'm going to bring down the saturation all the way so it is grayscale. Click OK. Now I want to go back and I want to use brightness and contrast because I want to increase the contrast of it so it's a little more dramatic. Before it was had a lot of the same color gray. So if I play around a little bit, I can get a little more intensity. And I think I like it right there, so I'm going to click OK. Now I can start to bring in my, oopsie, put that back up, bring in my other objects. So I'm going to use the Move tool again, click and drag this on. I can get rid of this. I'm going to save it because I don't want the background in there. I'll save it as a JPEG. Now I'm going to move this object so that it's on my guideline. Okay. Right now it looks like this paint can is off center. It's finding the center because of this paintbrush, so I want to move it over because it doesn't look right. So I want to move it, and I'm going to eyeball it so that the paint can is actually centered and not the entire image, because I don't really care about the paintbrush so much. I care more about the circular paint can. Now and you can use the arrow keys because it moves it slowly for you. Sometimes when you're using the mouse, it kind of jumps. So now on layer 2, okay, I highlighted this one so that I can move this. I'm going to hit Control T. I'm going to resize holding Shift. I want to make it almost as large as my entire canvas and position it right at the 12 o'clock position and click OK. Right now it's overlapping my paint can, so I want my paint can to be on top. So I'm going to drag that layer above, and I'm going to then continue to duplicate this layer. I'm going to right click on my object that I'm using for the color wheel, and I'm going to select duplicate layer and click OK. Now I have another image right on top of that. If I use my move tool now, I can start to see both if I move it across. If I hit Control T, I'll get my free transform box around there, and if I hover in the corner, I can see a bent arrow and I can start to shift and turn my image. And it'll be up to you how much you overlap. You eventually want to have one object on the 12 o'clock position, one on the 3, one on the 6, and one on the 9, with the same amount in between. The first quadrant, this first square, is going to take you the longest time to do. Once you have this down and you know where you want all of your objects to be, the others are easier because you know how much they're going to overlap and what it's going to look like. But for now, this one takes a little trial and error. When you're happy with the positioning, click the check mark, and then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to continue duplicating layers until you have all of them arranged and put into position. It's good to kind of look at the negative space in between your objects too, so I can see right here and right here. You kind of want to keep that consistent, or you do want to keep that consistent. And then continue. Some people want to put them at 12, 3, 6, and 9. But if you do that, then you run the risk of getting your layers out of order, and then that could be a challenge for you to find where everything is again. So if you do it this way, at least now everything is going to be in the right order. So as I'm going along here, I realize that I'm going to have to move my guys around a little bit, which is okay. It looks pretty even there. All right, so I want this guy on the 3 o'clock, so these I kind of have to go back and move so that this space is taken up evenly. Takes a little finessing for this first part, like I said. Once you got this, then you're good. This can be frustrating when you're first working with layers because there are going to be so many, okay? But don't get frustrated.